Hi, I'm Nisha DeGaring, host of Good Things Utah, and I've been a longtime supporter of Todd's Beliefcast. I hope you find inspiration in the courageous stories shared by the amazing people Todd features on his show. The guests serve as shoulders for us to stand on, allowing us to see a little further and cultivate belief in oneself. Remember, you have the dignity and power to change. I encourage you to keep striving and believing in yourself. Enjoy today's podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. Today on the Beliefcast, I am honored to welcome Al Richards, a man who has walked through unimaginable pain and emerged as a voice of strength, compassion, and transformation. Al is an internationally certified crisis recovery coach and the host of the Other Side Addiction podcast, which I've been on, which was really cool. And he's also the co-founder of the Healing Utah Success Summit. His story is not just about surviving addiction, it's about rising through it. From losing a 24-year-old career and battling his own addiction to enduring the heartbreak of a spouse's alcoholism and a life-altering experience of below-the-knee amputation, followed by the devastating loss of his wife just weeks later. Whew. Al has faced that kind of darkness most of us can't even imagine. But through it all, he's discovered that the key to growth is not avoiding pain, but learning from it. Al is living proof that no matter how far down you've gone, transformation is not only possible, it's powerful. So Al, we've known each other for years now. Much respect to what you do in the community. I know that, from day one that I met you, you were a man of someone who wanted to make a difference in people's lives. So thank you, one, for having me on your show, and I'm grateful that I know you. And I'm thankful that you reached back out, and you've been through a lot since we last met, and so much. We're going to get into all that because, again, you are doing some amazing things. But for those who may not know you, Al, why don't we start off, just kind of tell us, maybe a little background on you, where you grew up, and maybe a little bit about that.
Okay. Well, I grew up out in West Jordan, and first off, thank you for having me back on, Todd.
Absolutely.
I really do appreciate it. I'd love to have you back on my show again because it's been so long.
Anytime.
Yeah. So, I grew up out in West Jordan. I was 9 when my parents moved out there, and, West Jordan was just literally a hick town back in those days. Right now, it's like the 3rd largest city in the valley.
Yeah,
it's
wow.
amazing.
Yeah.
But, I grew up in a household that, I didn't show a lot of love, but there was love there. And just had a lot of fun as a little kid. Graduated from Bingham High School in 1981. Bingham Minor, yeah. And then was going to get in the military, but being crippled when I was a kid, they wouldn't accept me. So I thought, well, I'll go to trade tech, and I'll learn a trade. Well, back in those days, you still had to take science and math and English. And I'm like, I just took that in high school. I'm not interested in taking that again. And so I said, oh, the heck with that. And anyway, I ended up getting a job doing construction back when television cable was first coming in. So I was the guy laying the cable so you guys could have your TV, and it was a lot of fun. Got to travel around a little bit, spent some time in Denver, Colorado, and then Windsor, Colorado, and then went to Phoenix, Arizona, and Chandler, and then to St. George and back to Salt Lake. And it's kind of where it all started. And then I ended up getting hired on at a manufacturing place and spent 24 years there.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a long time to be at a certain place. You don't hear that too often, do you?
No. And, and if it wasn't for, me pissing a dirty UA, I'd probably be retiring from there.
Wow. Yeah. Well, again, thank you. That helps a lot. And, we talked about you have a podcast, and initially you started that podcast based off of what's it like on the other side of addiction, because, your wife at the time was struggling with alcoholism, and you were the spouse trying to hold her up at the time. And, and it was a really good approach because a lot of times we didn't hear that part of the story. Mm-hmm. Like, what's it like living with someone and being with someone who struggles with addiction? But little do we know, you had your own battles going on. Yeah. And one of our mutual friends, Dave DeRocher from the Other Side Academy, kind of woke you up and said, hey, dude, it's time for you to share your story. And I know you've been out doing that. But you've also been through a lot since we first met. And when I say a lot of heartache and pain and emotional and also physical. And I want to talk a little bit about that. So maybe if you would, Al, maybe just say, hey, you started this podcast. kind of share your story from the time we met till now, because there's been a lot going on, just for us to get caught up and to hear some of these really tough things that you've been through.
Yeah, so when we first met, I mean, gosh, I didn't even realize, because my wife went here, my past wife went here, and she worked with you, and I didn't even know that until you and I actually met in person.
Yeah, that was a good connection at the time.
A really good connection, and the only way I really reached out to you is because I bought your book. And started reading your book, and I'm like, I got to meet this guy, right? Because he's from Utah and he's at Wasatch. But anyway, that was the reason why I started my show, my podcast. Is I wanted people to know what it was like being on the other side and being the spouse of someone that was battling. I made a lot of mistakes, and I didn't want to see other people make the same mistakes that I made. Because what's our famous line? Why can't you just stop? What's wrong with you?
Yeah, what's your problem?
Well, that doesn't help,
Right.
and every time we try to help, basically we're enabling, and we're just adding to the addiction, but we don't realize it because we love the person.
Yeah.
But it's crazy because Mallory Jacobs and we started this Healing Utah Success Summit.
Yeah.
And I asked Dave DeRocher if he'd like to be a part of it, and he's like, yeah, I'd be happy to. And I got to spend some time with him on Good Things Utah, and we did our event down in St. George, and I watched Dave on stage, and I'm like, yeah, that's how I want to be on stage, right? He just was able to grasp people, and I was just starting my speaking career, basically, and as the event got over with, we're all getting ready to go out to dinner, and I pulled Dave off to the side, and I said, hey, when we get back to Salt Lake, I'd like to schedule a meeting with you, and just pick your brain about being on stage now. And he's like, yeah, okay. And it was his anniversary, and they were going to Vegas, and him and things. And, well, that was August. I didn't get a phone call till January of 2023. And Robin, his assistant at the time, Robin Sims, called me up and says, hey, Dave's ready to see you. And I'm like, oh, well, okay, finally, right?
It's about time.
It's about time. I mean, hell's frozen over by now, So anyway, it happened to be a day that I had my podcast scheduled. And it was, I know you're a spiritual person, Todd, and things work out for a reason. And I tell you what, God's hands was in that whole day, that day. So I go up, meet Robin, go into Dave's office. Robin and I are sitting there talking. Dave comes in, sits down. Well, shakes my hand, gives me a hug. He's like, remind me what the heck we were supposed to meet for. And I says, I was going to give you some, ask for some tidbits about public speaking.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, yeah. And he goes, okay. And he says, you wanted to be a powerful speaker, huh? And I said, yeah. And Dave's on a chair in front of me, and it has rollers on it. And he reaches over and he grabs my knee, excuse me, and he pulls himself right up in front of my face. And I'm thinking, but first, he goes, may I speak openly? Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm here for. And he says, you want to be a powerful speaker, Al? He says, then you start telling your effing stories. Your wife's effing story. And he's pointing his finger in my face, and I'm trying to back up, and he keeps pushing. I mean, Dave, right?
Oh, yeah.
But he's doing it out of love.
Sure.
He's not doing it any other way but out of love. 100%.
Yeah.
And my ego starts kicking in. I'm thinking, who the heck does this guy think he is? I mean, my hell, and I'm starting to get really defensive, and my walls going up. And then all of a sudden, I caught myself, and I went, I gave this man permission to speak openly.
Yeah.
I owe it to him to listen to what he has to say.
Yeah.
And he finishes. And then, of course, Robin jumps in. She had to put her 2 cents in. I like to throw that in because, Robin, I love you, but, she had to throw her 2 cents in. Anyway, we got done. Said our goodbyes, man. I appreciated everything he had. Robin was my guest co-host that day, and we're heading to the studio. And all the way to the studio, I'm thinking, my gosh, wow, what he said, he was right.
Yeah.
All I've been talking about is her. He's right. That's her story to tell, not mine.
Yeah.
But being new in everything and all this, I mean, I didn't really know it. Plus, I was still playing victim.
Yeah.
I mean, it's easy to play victim, so I'm playing victim 100%.
Yeah.
And so we get to the studio, and my guest doesn't show. Even though the night before I checked, she doesn't show.
Didn't show. Wow.
And I called, emailed, text, 20 minutes of this, nothing. So Robin goes, no show, huh? And man, I get emotional thinking about this, and I'm like,
Yeah.
man, Dave's words are they're buzzing in my head. They're just buzzing in my head. And I said, no, Robin, there's going to be a show. I said, will you be the host of today's show and I'll be the guest? I want you to interview me. And she's like, you've got to be kidding me. And I says, no,
Yeah.
I'm taking Dave's advice. It's the first time I opened up about my 8-year weekend cocaine and alcohol.
Wow.
Very, very first time, Todd. So here I am doing a podcast
Right.
about addiction, asking my guest to be vulnerable when I'm not even being vulnerable myself. And
Dang.
after we get off the show, Robin's eyes filled with tears. She reached over and gave me a hug, and she goes, Al, I watched this weight just plummet off of you. I watched you start sitting up straighter.
Yeah.
I started seeing this glow in your face. I was holding on to so much baggage and so much
can
weight that
imagine,
I
right.
didn't even realize I was holding on to. You know what's crazy though, Todd? Halfway through the show, my wife came into the studio to watch the show because she thinks I'm interviewing a guest.
Yeah, she wants to just see what's going on.
Oh, her chin
Has no
bounced
idea.
off the floor.
I can imagine.
She was like, oh my gosh, I'm looking at her peripheral vision, and I could just see the look on her face. And after the show, she goes, I cannot believe you just did that. I mean, she was in shock. I was in shock.
Yeah.
But if I can share a blessing that came out of this.
Please.
This was January 2023. March of 2023, I'm at work. I'm remodeling a house in Sandy, and my phone rings, and I notice it's my oldest daughter. So I pick it up. She says, hey, Dad, you got time to chat? I says, yeah, absolutely, I got time to chat. She goes, okay, you're not going to like the first part. Just like that. Or, okay.
Yeah.
She goes, you know, when you started your show, Dad, I wanted to support you 100%. She says, but the more I listened to it, you played the victim in every show. Your guests had great stories, but you were always playing the victim. She goes, now, Dad, you went through a lot of stuff. But she goes, I know your past. Not once did you ever share it.
Mm.
So she says, I kept talking to my husband. And she used his first name.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't know what to do. He's like, I don't know. Guess you'll have to figure it out. Well, she called me. She goes, Dad, I'm in my kitchen. I'm making dinner. I'm looking for podcasts to listen to.
Yeah.
And I run across yours. And there's a woman's face on there instead of yours face. And the title said, Own Your Own Shit. She's like, what the heck? And so she listened to it. She goes, Dad, I listened to that podcast twice.
Wow.
And she goes, I called to tell you how proud I am of you and how much I love you.
Wow.
If I wouldn't have listened to Dave's advice and wouldn't have subsided my ego,
Yeah.
that blessing would have never, ever happened.
Yeah.
And that
Chills.
opened it up. So in October of 2003, I got on stage and I told my story with my aunt and uncle and my mom and everybody in the audience, family. That's the first time that they heard about my 8-year weekend addiction with cocaine and alcohol.
Wow. Dang, that's powerful. I can't even imagine like how that all kind of played out. And it was probably meant to be that Dave took so long to get back to you.
Yeah.
Because it was timing for everything right after that. It was like boom, 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 right what it needed to be.
Yeah.
And wow, that is incredible. So, you know, you said Robin's looking at you and seeing this weight lifted, and obviously you felt that, right?
Yeah.
You felt like, man,
Yeah.
but it's still, you know, hey, this is your first time out, especially in front of your family, saying, hey, here's what I've been doing. How did they, I mean, obviously they were, I'm sure they're proud of you, like your daughter was saying, but was that hard to navigate those things with them as you moved forward with this, or?
No, not really, because my aunt and uncle was there. My aunt and uncle, which is my mom's sister, I've always been really close to her. I can say with confidence I'm her favorite nephew. Because she's told me many times.
We'll put that in the show notes.
Yeah, put that in the show notes, please. But, you know, they just basically said they were proud.
Yeah.
Proud of me, just like my daughter.
Yeah.
My mom, you know, she's like, I do something. I knew something was going, you know, mom's intuition. And and it was it was okay, you know, but it was important. I mean, because that's why I lost a 24-year career.
Yeah.
I mean, I hadn't been drug tested in 15 years. And then one day I walk in, and what's crazy is I remember weekends when I was so freaking high and drunk, I'm looking in the mirror asking God to help me. Well, when I lost my job, I'm like, not like this.
You're like, I wasn't expecting that help.
Right.
Yeah.
But again, that's another blessing that came out of it because it brought me closer to him.
Yeah.
So all these blessings started really happening under a really devastating time.
Yeah.
But
man,
I wouldn't be the man who I am today
mm-hmm.
if it wasn't for me losing my job, if it wasn't for me listening to other individuals and opening up. There's no way I'd be that. I'd still be a liar and a manipulator. I'd still be trying to control my life and lying to people and manipulating my way around things just so I could get what I wanted.
Wow, that's an amazing transformation. It's so powerful when we take accountability for our life, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, when we take full accountability. One of the things I share with my clients all the time, Al, and you'll appreciate this. When we take full accountability, suffering stops. Right?
That gave me goosebumps.
Yeah. And because the opposite of that is, again, like your daughter's point, you've always played the victim. And when we play the victim, our suffering just continues. It just gets magnified, and it just, this vicious cycle we find ourselves in. And I think that's when what Robin was noticing, like this weight lifting from you. And that's a beautiful, beautiful story. I appreciate you sharing that. That's amazing. So you go through this, you finally kind of found your purpose again, if you will, like this is what I'm going to do. But man, you've been through a lot, Al, and my heart goes out to you. I know that those that are around you who love you, I mean, I'm sure they ached as they watched you go through some of this stuff. So do you mind sharing? I mean, you're here with a prosthetic leg. You didn't have that last time I met with you. So if you don't mind sharing a little bit of that and kind of what happened with your wife and everything else.
Yeah,
if you're okay with
no,
that.
I'm good with it. Yeah, I'm absolutely good with it. We can't control the pain that life throws at us, but I really do feel, at least my version is, we can control the outcome. We can control which direction we choose to go.
Yeah.
And I started really getting into hiking. I had to quit playing softball. I think I was still playing ball last time.
Yeah, you were.
Spoke. And my shoulder, I've just blown my shoulders out too much. I couldn't even get to where I could throw a ball anymore. And I wanted to do something that was outdoors. So I ended up taking up hiking. I met some gals at the gym, and they're talking about trails. And I'm like, oh, there's trails? I've lived here all my life and had no clue all these trails and, and waterfalls and lakes are up here in our beautiful Wasatch Mountains. So I ended up going on this hike, and I fell in love with it. And the next week I went further, and I fell in love with it even more. And I really started getting into hiking. Well, I started having issues where my foot was going numb as I was going up on the hike.
Yeah.
I was dealing with it, but on the way down, it felt like somebody was shoving toothpicks up through my heel. So it would get really painful, and I'd have to stop, sit down for about 5 minutes. Everything would be okay again, and I could take off and go another half mile or so, and then I'd have to sit down. And it just started getting worse and worse, and I never went to the doctors. Just really never thought too much about it, just kind of dealing through it.
Yeah.
Well, it finally got to the point... Let's see, we're 2025. I think it was the beginning of 2024.
Okay.
I decided to go on an early hike. I think it was like February. And we didn't have a lot of snow that winter. And I just went up on a hike over behind the Capitol.
Oh, okay.
And I got about a mile in, and my pain was behind my calf. And I'm like, what the heck is going on now, right? It was first my foot, and it felt like my calf was in a vice. And I'm like, I can't go any further. I got to turn around and go back. So I turned around and I went back, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? Yeah. And then I'd be at the gym, and I'd start doing cardio, and same thing. I'd be on the treadmill starting to do cardio, and then I'd have to stop because it just felt like my calf was just being squeezed. And things started settling down a little bit. So I'm like, all right, I think I'm okay again. And we started going on another hike. I didn't even make it a half mile. And I'm like, I'm not able to do this. And I barely made it back to my truck. I was barely walking when I got back to my truck. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? Right. So I started going to my physical therapist. And maybe this was the end of 2023.
Okay.
But yeah, so I started going to my physical therapist, and no, it was 2020. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I went to my physical therapist, and she's working on me. She's amazing. She's just amazing at what she does. About 6 weeks in, she goes, Al, if I haven't been able to fix you yet, there's something going on. She goes, I highly recommend you go to a vascular doctor.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
You're like, whoa.
So
Yeah.
I checked my insurance. I'm like, okay, do you guys cover this? And they gave me a name of, 5 different places to go to. I won't say the name of who it is, but I found one. They were able to get me in really quick. They did an ultrasound. They found some blockage behind my knee. So that's why I wasn't getting the blood flow. So as my legs get in the pump and it's calling for blood flow to supply the muscle, it wasn't getting any. So it just felt like my calf was being squeezed.
Okay.
And so anyway, they're like, oh, all we got to do is just do this procedure. It's a piece of cake, in and out. You'll be in and, you can leave the same day. And I'm like, all right, sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, about the 3rd day after the surgery, I'm at work with my brother. It's cold outside. I think it's like 33, 34 degrees. And my foot, I cannot feel it. I've literally felt like I was walking on a block of ice.
Mm.
And I got home, took off my work boot and my socks, and I reached down to feel my foot. And my foot was literally as white as my tennis shoes. And my foot, it felt like I just took it out of the freezer. And I'm like, I have zero blood flow in that foot.
Jeez.
My pain behind my calf was gone, but it was down in my foot. So I call the doctor up, and I'm like, hey, this is what's going on. He's like, well, you're not getting any blood flow. I'm like, well, yeah, no kidding. That's why it's so cold.
That's why I'm calling.
And he's like, well, we got to wait at least 10 days, and you've only been 3-4 days in, so we got to give it at least another 6 days. But I'm like, all right. So we waited the 6 days. They got me back in. They went in and did the same procedure. I had a follow-up the next day. Todd, I could barely walk in that doctor's office. I walked in with a cane. I was in so much pain. My daughter came with me that time. Anyway, I don't want to say a lot because I'm not able to, but
yeah, that's fine.
Long story short is the pain just started getting worse. I'm one that's been totally against prescription pills. I know they have their purpose.
Right.
I've never had issues with them. I've had spouses that have had issues with them. But it was to a point, Todd, literally, where I was popping oxycodone like it was coming out of a Pez dispenser. I wasn't sleeping. Every night, just the sheets touching my toe felt like someone was down there with a needle nose plier just pulling my nails out. And it was getting to the point where I was starting to hallucinate. I was starting to see people outside my place. I could hear people crying. I mean, I thought my neighbor was outside crying, and I looked out my blinds, and I swear I could see her kneeling down on the driveway with my mom standing behind her and her kids, and I'm like, what the heck's going on? And I hurry and get dressed, and I go walking outside, and there's nobody there. Jeez. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm losing it, you know? And so my daughter, she goes down the rabbit hole, and she really starts checking on things, and she goes, Dad, you need to go get a second opinion. I highly suggest you go get a second opinion. And I waited a little bit, and it was a Tuesday, I think it was, but I got off of work that day, Todd, and that voice in my head was so loud and said, get your butt to the emergency center. Mm. And I called my daughter, and I said, Dad's on his way to St. Mark's. She goes, Dad, I'm going to meet you there. And I get there. They start doing all their checking, do more ultrasounds. I asked for the vascular specialist. And my daughter was already kind of ahead of the game, but the doctor came in who just retired, and he says, after I gave him the whole history, he looked at me, Todd, like you and I are looking each other in the eye, and he pointed his finger at me, and I won't say what he said out of respect, but he goes, you may have just lost your leg. And I was like, what? He goes, he says, I'm going to go look at your test results. But
that's a phrase you don't want to ever hear.
No, my daughter was there, and she was sitting on a chair, and she rolled over and grabbed my hand immediately, and she's like, are you okay, Dad? And I'm like, man, I don't know. I'm just trying to process what he just said.
Yeah.
How could I be losing my leg?
Yeah.
I just went in for an easy procedure.
Yeah, it's no big deal.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
And the first thought that popped in my head, Todd, was just like, my life's over. No more hiking. I'm not kicking the soccer ball with my grandkids anymore. I'm not driving my truck anymore, right? All this negative stuff started going through my head. And I had my coach interview me on my own show as well. And, you know, he's like, did you think of using? I'm like, yeah, I did. Man, that thought clicked in. It's like, oh, yeah, as soon as I get home, you know, I could still probably make some phone calls and find some stuff. You know, all I got to do is just start searching, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, no, wait a minute. No. There are other people that have prosthetics, and they're out there hiking, and they're out there doing things. They're doing Ragnar, and they're doing all this other stuff. No. This is just a new chapter. I got a blank piece of paper and a pen, and I can write this however the heck I want to write it.
Wow. I want to pause there for a sec, because one of my questions I wanted to ask you is, when did your pain become your purpose? And it sounds like that was the moment.
That was the moment.
Wow.
That was
when
the
you're
moment.
Like, this is what I can do.
Yep.
Whoa, that's amazing.
So the doctor comes back, reads all my test results, says, we're preparing a room for you right now. Oh, okay, seriously? What's going on? He's like, we're going to attempt a bypass tomorrow. And he says, we need 3 healthy veins. And he says, from the ultrasound, it looks like you got some amazing arteries. You're in good shape. I don't think we're going to have a problem, right? So I'm like, okay, hope. Yeah. Oh my gosh, there's hope. Yeah. Okay, super, you know, and so they get the room all prepared, and of course I'm there with my work clothes, and my daughters take off once I got in my room, and they go to Target or Walmart and go buy me some underwear and some stretch pants and flip-flops and all this stuff, you know, and they come back. So they end up doing the bypass, or trying the bypass. And I remember the doctor coming in, and this was after I got out of recovery and got up to the room, and she goes, Al, she goes, we searched and we searched and we searched. She says, your arteries are amazing. They're so strong, they're thick, they're amazing, but we needed a target vein, and every target vein is plugged. So she goes, we pumped you full of this stuff, hopefully that will dissolve some of the clotting that's there. She goes, basically you have trash foot. I'm like, what's trash foot? She goes,
I've never heard that before.
Whatever they did on the other ones, it pushed everything down into your feet, and it plugged up all the vessels.
Oh boy.
So she goes, I want to bring you in. Let's give it a chance to dissolve. We can try, see if we can do it in 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, and we'll come in and do an angiogram, and we'll see if we can find a vein. She goes, if I find a 10% opening, we're going for it. Because we're gonna do everything we can to save your leg. The pain was still terrible. I mean, it was still amazing. I couldn't work there for a bit because, you know, I had my leg sliced open in 2 spots in my calf and up here in my thigh, and I couldn't lift anything heavy. And my work calls for heavy lifting. Yeah. Anyway, it just got to a point to where it was about a week and a half went by, and I just couldn't deal with the pain anymore. Mornings were my worst. As soon as I got out of bed, that blood hit down on my foot. I would sit there in so much pain. I mean, literally, I would almost be screaming just till it kind of worked itself through. And I finally said, no, this is it. And I was having issues with my insurance at the time, so they suggest I go to the emergency center. And so March 5th, I walked in the emergency center. That was my last time on both legs. They tried an angiogram on the 6th. No luck. Doctor come up to my room and said, Al, we gave it a shot. He goes, even everybody down in the surgical room is, come on, we got to find one. She goes, Al, I spent an hour and a half on you and we could not find one. Jeez. She goes, I can release you today, but your foot will continue to die. I was already starting to have sores pop up on my foot. Yeah. And she goes, or we can schedule you for an amputation tomorrow. And she goes, this may sound bad, but you have 2 hours to decide, because I got to let my surgical team know. And as soon as she left the room,
Dang.
I looked at my mom and I said, I'm done.
I want to take a moment to express my heartfelt gratitude to the incredible sponsors of the Beliefcast podcast. First, Craig from Craig Swap and Associates. If you need an attorney, he's your guy. Trustworthy, compassionate, always there when you need him most. Next, Wasatch Recovery, the greatest university on the planet, transforming lives one day at a time. Sandy from Minky Couture, the creative genius behind the most comfortable blanket you'll ever wrap yourself in. Comfort like no other. Special thanks to the award-winning pianist Paul Cardall for his beautiful music that brings inspiration to every episode.
She goes, what do you mean you're done? I says, I'm having him take it. I can't live with this pain anymore.
Yeah, you're in so much pain.
Yeah,
It's like
I can't continue to sit and take oxycodone like it's coming out of a Pez dispenser because it's not touching my pain anyway. It's not affecting it.
yeah.
And she goes, are you sure? I said, Mom, my foot's dying anyway. It's not going to get better. And if they take my leg, at least the pain that I have once that happens is healing pain. It's not continuous pain.
Right. Yep.
And so I called my daughter and I said, Dad's having his leg taken tomorrow. And she's like, Dad, we will be there. And of course, they couldn't get me until noon because she had 2 other amputations.
Dang.
But, Todd, through the whole thing, I was doing my best to tell myself, I'm not going to lose my leg. I'm not going to lose my leg. I'm doing my best to stay positive. That spiritual voice in my head, all it said is prepare yourself. Prepare yourself. Didn't say I was losing it. All it said was prepare yourself. I heard that every day,
Really?
all the way up till the day I lost my leg, constantly throughout the day. Everybody, they wheel me down. The only person that stays with me is my oldest daughter. She sat there and held my hand all the way till they came and took me into the surgical room. They put up a stirrup, plop my leg up on the stirrup, start putting the IVs, everything in me, and getting things ready. And I remember looking at my leg sitting up there. And I went, okay, it's time to say thanks. So I felt it was going to be healing and helpful for me. And so I just told my leg, I said, thank you for 61 years of keeping me upright. Thank you for all the abuse I put you through with all my ball and my hiking and everything, just thank you for everything that you did. And they did the block. And I remember the anesthesiologist goes, well, the block went well, Mr. Richards. I said, well, I guess this is about the time you say goodnight. And he goes, yeah. And that's the last thing I remember.
That was it. Yeah.
And it was crazy because I woke up in recovery. I'm in no pain. I have 0 pain.
Yeah.
I'm in heaven.
Yeah, because it's the first time you've been out of pain in a long, long time.
Yes. I mean, I'm in see, I got goosebumps. I'm in heaven. I'm like, oh my gosh, this feels so good. And I get up in the room and, I have my ex-wife there, the mother of my daughters, and both my daughters there, and my mom's there. And, and I'm just like in this chipper mood. And I think my daughter said, Dad, are you okay with everything? And it's like, I was so at peace. I think that voice telling me to prepare myself, I was literally at peace.
Well, I saw your post afterwards, after the surgery and the comments you were making, and I was like, I could tell. I didn't know that for sure because I wasn't in the room, obviously, but by the words you were saying and just the smile on your face and just your attitude about it, I was like, whoa, I was just really impressed.
Thank you.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, and I'm not patting myself on my back, but, we go through life, right, Todd, and we have a lot of stuff that happens to us. I mean, you went through a huge battle yourself, right? And there's just something that one day just wakes us up or somebody that helps us get there. And I was telling my mom and my family, I says, I looked at it, there's 2 ways. I says, I could sit here and go back to being the victim. And I could just say, sit in the dark, feel sorry for myself.
Yeah.
Or again, I can take that blank piece of paper and I can take that pen and I can write it however I want to ride it.
Yeah.
Now, did I stay that strong throughout the whole thing? Oh, heck no. I still have my moments.
So you're a human?
I am human, man. I mean, I think the second day the block wore off, and I went through 4 hours of just excruciating. I had to call my daughter. She came, and I mean, my blood pressure was 198 over 90 something.
Jeez.
My bed was soaking wet because I was sweating so bad. They finally had to put me on ketamine. They were pumping morphine in me, all kinds of stuff, and nothing was touching me.
Nothing was touching it.
And finally, they put me in the K-hole, as they call it.
Yes,
and
yeah.
I didn't like that because everything was spinning and just, I mean, I was going nuts. And but anyway, everything finally calmed down. And the physical therapist come up about the third day or so, and like, we got to get you up. You know, they don't like you sitting too long. And I walked half the hall. They're like, we just want to take you down the hall. And I'm like, no, I want to do half of it. And I think I had a video that was on social media where they're holding me and I'm on my walker and I'm kind of hopping on one leg.
Yep.
And the next day they came in and I said, and to go back, each one of those mornings I woke up looking down, bawling my eyes out. Because I'm missing my leg, right?
For sure, yeah.
But then I'd gather myself back together, and they came in the second day, and they're like, so you want to do half the hall this time? And I says, no, I'm doing the whole floor today. And they're like, no, Al, it's only been like 4 days. And I says, no, I've got you to hold me. If I don't think I can make it, I'll tell you. I'm doing the whole floor today. And so I did. I did the whole floor.
I love it.
And when I came back, I asked my physical therapist, I said, do you have any weights down in the PT room? She goes, what kind of weights? I said, I don't know. You got some like 5 or 10 pound dumbbells? She goes, yeah, I think so. I said, could you bring 2 up to my room? She goes, you want weights in your room? I said, I do. I said, it'll help me. If you could, please, it would really help me. And she came up about an hour later and had these 2 little 10-pound weights. She set it right next to my bed. I woke up the next morning, same thing. I wake up, I'm not seeing my leg, I'm crying, I'm feeling sorry for myself. I allowed the emotions to take their course, and I finally said, okay, enough of this. This is not going to set me back. It's not. And so I lowered my bed, was able to reach down and grab the dumbbells, and I wiggled myself to the edge of my bed, and I started doing curls. My nurse walked in, and she about fainted. She goes, I have been doing this job for 20 years, and I've never seen anybody lift weights in their hospital bed before.
Yeah, you're like, you know?
She goes, what are you doing? And I'm like, if I can't go to the gym, I'm bringing the gym to me. I says, I need to do this so I feel like I'm doing something.
Right.
I cannot sit here, because the more I sit here, the more the opposition is getting in my head.
For sure.
Telling me I can't do things right. Mm-hmm. And so anyway,
awesome.
I made it through all that and went through rehab. I was supposed to be there 12 days. I was there 8. And then 4 weeks, almost to the day that I lost my leg, I got a phone call from the Sandy police, and they had found my wife deceased. So I was questioning God a lot.
I can't even,
A lot. And yeah.
Wow. So, I mean, you hear that news. How do you handle that? I mean, especially after everything you've been through. And you even said it. I started questioning God. Like, what, what's this?
Mm-hmm.
I have to deal with this now? I mean, it just seems like you're getting hit with one thing after the other. I mean, here you are today, I mean, I felt the same energy I knew Al back, when we first met, this powerful, confident, maybe sometimes stubborn man.
Yeah. Stubborn's in there for sure.
But you really do have this light about you, and that's one thing I really appreciate about you.
Thank you.
And it's there. I see it. I feel it. So how did you get to this place? I mean, obviously, I'm sure it's a daily thing right now, and there's a lot going on. And I just, how you doing this, brother?
Oh gosh, Todd, really that news hit me harder than losing my leg.
Yeah.
It really did. I mean, we had been divorced, but I still call her my wife because I had somebody do like a reading on me, and they're like, she does not like you calling her your ex-wife. You're still her wife. She's still your wife.
Yeah.
So I respect that.
Sure.
And I was questioning God. I did a lot of praying.
Yeah.
And the only thing that was coming back was, for me, in my head, is I'm being tested. My faith is being tested right now. How can I get through this?
Yeah.
Am I really as strong as I think I am? I don't know.
Yeah.
And I took some close friends that I allow inside my bubble, which are very few.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of close friends just outside of that, but
Right.
it's the ones inside.
Sure. I call those your darkest hour friends.
That's a good way of looking at it. Yeah. So I got a hold of them. Again, a lot of praying, and just asked for the strength to get through this. And then I feel that there is a message behind everything. There's a lesson behind everything. And then my brain just started going, okay, why is this happening? What's going on? What's the reason for this?
Yeah.
And I really started coming up with a lot of stuff that I was still doing that didn't even realize I was doing until I started questioning myself.
Yeah.
And then I'm going,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I could do better at this.
Yeah.
I need to really step my game up some more. And I say a lot, even on my show, that there is no finish line when it comes to bettering yourself.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
will continue to work on me until the day God calls me home.
Yeah.
I can have goals and reach a goal.
Sure. Yeah.
But there is always something for us to work on. And so I'm
That's
okay,
that's a really good perspective.
I'm going to take these things and I'm just going to start working on it. And about 2 weeks ago, I think really is when everything hit, because my surgery was in March. I lost her in April. About 2 weeks ago, I think finally everything just kind of imploded. I mean, I went through about a week and a half where I wasn't waking up and going to the gym. I was really, really depressed.
I was going to say, you're probably heartbroken.
I didn't want to eat.
Yeah.
She was on my mind continuously. I was getting to where I wasn't feeling too good either, and I think it was just all still part of all the emotions. And I just went back to my training. I went back to my training as a crisis and recovery coach, and I'm like, I just got to allow these emotions to take their course. And
Yeah.
God gave them to us for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Too many times we try to mask them with
Yeah.
other substances or other
Yep.
things.
Uh-huh.
And I love the buffalo analogy,
Yeah.
that they run
They
towards
run
the
to the
storm.
Yep.
And I just allowed it, and it took about a week and a half, and finally things started kind of changing. But if it wasn't really, Todd, for my faith, my spirituality, and those handful of friends that was there for me,
Yeah.
and my coaches, really.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, my coaches and I, we're just great, great friends, and they're out of Canada, so
Yeah.
they always call me. I just text them, and they call me.
Yeah. Wow.
And so it's really helped me. It's really helped me get through it. And
Yeah.
I just turned 62 in July.
Wow.
I have lived more years than what I have left, and so I figured,
Yeah.
man, I can still go through my grieving. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. I still got a lot of healing left with this thing.
Sure.
There's still things I can do. I will get back to do it. I got a goal to I want to hike Lake Blanche in October because I love that fall hike. It's a beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful
And
hike.
knowing you'll be ready for that.
And I've already gone on a hike. I did Lower Lake Bell Lake last Sunday.
Oh, right on.
So I did that
Very
for
cool.
the very first time, and
Congrats.
I made it.
Congrats.
I made it. Thank you.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it's just all that we've gone through in life this past 14, 15 years that has really molded me and shaped me and taught me about so many different things that if it wasn't for that, Todd, I'd probably be heading back to that other direction again, So
Yeah.
I just owe it all up to that, especially my higher power. My
For
higher
sure.
power has never left my side,
Yeah.
ever.
Wow. That's an incredible story, incredible perspective, and much respect to you, Al, for fighting the fight, right? I think most of our listeners, if not all of them, had those moments where they question God or their higher power, like, why am I going through this? This is almost too much, and that's why, I brought up, turning your pain into purpose. And that's really what you're doing, and I admire that so much.
Thank you.
I think people who are listening to you right now needed this message. And I want to hone that in a little bit. I want to ask you this. Someone right now is listening to Al who is struggling. They're in a dark place. They tuned into this episode listening to your words. What would you tell that person that's tuned in right now who is in a dark place? What would you say to them?
I'll get emotional with this one. My version is about life. We have to go through some really dark moments to find our light. We won't always be in the dark. There is light. And it's okay to feel the way that we're feeling. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
You don't need to be embarrassed. You don't need to be ashamed.
Yeah.
However, also you still have to keep your mind open. And you have to search for that light. I did a post on my social media, Todd, about a month ago. It was during that time when I wasn't feeling so great. I went and washed my truck, and then I decided to stop by Murray Park, and I found a little place. No one was around, and I found this little place next to the river there. Went over, sat down, and I'm just picking up little rocks, and I'm just tossing them in the river, and I look over to my right, and I see these 2 tree trunks growing out from these slabs of concrete. So I'm thinking, well, back in the days when we've had a big runoff, they probably had these slabs of 4-inch concrete, and they put them there to help from me roading the bank out,
Yeah.
But there was a stack of like 5 or 6 of these slabs of concrete. But down lower, there's these 2 tree trunks that had pushed their way up through those, and now they've lifted those paths.
Yeah.
And the tree, I took a picture of the tree. It's up high. The sun is shining through it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I got this inspiration. So I go home and I get on the computer. And I'm like, I saw this and it reminded me so much of life.
Yeah.
At one time, that tree only saw a little sliver.
Yeah.
Because those concrete slabs were sitting on top of each other. Yet it found its way to get through it and get to that light to continue to grow. And now it's so big, it's lifting the concrete slabs.
Yeah. Wow,
that's
awesome.
my message to people that's in the dark.
Okay.
Because my version is of it, we cannot get to where we need to be in life without sitting in the dark first.
Yeah.
Because then we appreciate it more, and I think it helps us grow a little bit more.
Yeah.
We have to be there. Some of my greatest moments where I'm at today, I had to go through a lot of crap to get there, but I'm so grateful that I did, because it made me who I am today, and it gave me a little bit more strength that I did not have before.
Wow. That's well said.
Thank
and
you.
what a metaphor, that seeing that tree, right? It reminds me of have you heard the poem by Tupac, The Rose That Grew from Concrete?
No, I have not.
Oh man, you'll have to. Well, I'll get you a copy. I actually have a copy here, but basically it just talks about what you just said, and it's like we wouldn't look at the damaged petals of that rose and go, "Oh, look at the damaged petals." No, we would all celebrate its tenacity to reach the sun.
Yeah.
And that's really what you witnessed as you looked at this tree. Look what it did. It's amazing, and it's a metaphor for your life, Al, of what you've been through. You had concrete thrown all over you, and you pushed through. You found that one sliver, and you pushed through. And what a great message for those that are listening right now. I promise you, it's like the seed has to contend with the darkness before it reaches the light and becomes a flower.
Right.
Right?
Right. When you bury the seed, you cover it with dirt. There's no sunlight at all.
None, and it has to fight through it.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, so that's exactly what you've been through, man. Wow. Again, so much respect for you, Al, and it's great to hear this firsthand. Obviously, we follow each other on social media, and I get a feel for what you've been through, but to hear you say it and talk about it and see your emotion, and I just want to thank you for your vulnerability today, and for fighting the good fight. You're an inspiration to all of us.
Thank you, sir. And thank you again for having me back on, man. It's an absolute honor and a pleasure. So, yeah, I really appreciate it. And thank you for your kind words.
Absolutely. If someone listening out there wants to listen to your podcast or reach out to you, what's the best way for them to follow you and to check out all the good things you're doing?
Gosh, just follow me on Facebook. Look up Al Richards, or even The Other Side of Addiction. You know, I got a new sponsor finally, Emergo Academy, and so we're getting the shows out on a different thing, and hopefully I'll be back out on all the other platforms. But right now, you can even find us on YouTube.
Okay.
But hopefully here in the next little bit, I'll be back on Spotify and Podbeam and Apple Pod and all that soon. So
very cool.
Hopefully, but yeah.
No, you will. I know you will.
Yeah.
I know you.
We'll get there. Yeah. we'll get there.
You're going to climb that mountain.
It's those baby steps, right? Yeah. I was telling somebody the other day, they were talking about this mountain that they're climbing. And I says, well, that's really good. Are you close to the top? And they said, yeah, I think I am. And I said, well, that's really good. I says, but don't be shocked when you turn around. I'm like, what do you mean? I says, because you're at the bottom of the next one. And they're like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? I'm like, that's how it goes, man. Yeah. Right? You conquer one mountain and then you find yourself at the bottom of the next one.
You really do. Yeah. Wow. Well said. Well, that was beautiful. Thank you, Al. And thank you for bringing the energy and the love and your frequency today, man. It was powerful.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, there you go, folks. Al Richards. Please check out his links that we have in the show notes. Follow what he does. Listen to his podcast. And if you have a loved one who's struggling with whatever it is, if you're not even sure how to talk to them, send them a link to this episode and tell them to listen to Al's story. And then follow up with them. It'll break the ice, and it'll help you with this person that you love get hopefully the help that they need. So please do that. Thanks to my sponsors. I wouldn't be able to do this without you. I love you guys. Thanks for believing in me. And till next time, everyone, I love you. Take care.